Greetings. I bid you a warm welcome. My name is Kayla Harley. I'm an artiste, creator, producer, visionary, trailblazer, and today I am going to invite you into a remembering, a recalling, and a reimagining of our creative economy. Now, first of all, who are they? What is the creative economy? Well, that is, in fact, the arts, fine arts, television and media, graphics, that's tourism, that's crafts and artisans. These creative sensibilities are actually performing in the top percentile of our global wealth pool and is responsible for 6.1% in global gross domestic product, as well as giving out well over 50 million jobs and contributing to $4.3 trillion in revenue. But if this is the case, how is it that we continue to miss the mark as it pertains to the relationship of arts and funding? What happens there? What are we missing? Well, I want you to just take a moment, close your eyes, breathe. And I want you to remember the last encounter that you had with art. Whether that was an artist or you right there in your home watching a series on television. Maybe you were taking a walk in the park or visiting a museum, a gallery, seeing a sculpture. Maybe you are interacting with AI. How did it make you feel? What did you see? Who was involved? What was there? Now stay with me. Let's go deeper. You can open your eyes. But now, I want you to consider that the person behind the making of the art could very well have been a person that dedicated 4 to 8, maybe even 10 years cultivating and mastering what they do at an institution, a college, a training program, or learning through life. That person may have skipped several meals and is doing what they do as a labor of love because, after all, who's going to do it? This person could be working at Starbucks or a nearby grocery store, although they hold a master's degree, maybe even a PhD. Because, after all, the prestige of academia cannot save them or secure them a job in this country, in the United States of America. And unfortunately, although their devotion is clear, is evident, and is in fact reaching, they are not being seen and certainly not being paid their worth. Let's take another breath to absorb the truth of this matter, of the fact. And now let's consider, because this is multi-layered, that artist, that creative, that person that's finding and making their way may not have ever been introduced to any form of financial literacy throughout the course of their career or their education. It just simply was not included. And this word inclusion is very potent and very popular today. Inclusion is also about remembering and making human of an experience. It's less about the getting persons a seat at a table, although position and representation is absolutely and emphatically important. It is about understanding that the person who is cultivating this thing and making such great impact is not seen in the same way that maybe a lawyer or a doctor is. I mean, we're talking materials when it comes to artists. We're talking software. We're talking the body as an instrument that could very well have taken hits over the course of time. We're talking about directors who often don't even get to take a salary because they are wanting to ensure that their dancers, if it's a company, or that their volunteers or contractors, if it's a 501c3 organization, is taken care of to the best of their ability while they are serving their community, but oftentimes not being served and or oftentimes not being heard. Now, this isn't a comparison here about who does what and why this is important. This is simply about recognizing that to remember and to recall is now asking of us to reimagine our relationship to the arts, even if we are not ourselves an artiste. As an advocate, as a policymaker, as a researcher, as a funder, you can make a difference. Now, financial literacy is not just something that should happen at the level of the institution. I am encouraging artists themselves to find a way to radically get involved in their own self-education. I am encouraging this, but I am also encouraging now funders to reconsider how money is being allocated to artists as they navigate in this terrain, this particular terrain, post-pandemic, coming into a time where the free money is gone, right? Those initial emergency funds and grants and let's help you all get back on your feet is no longer accessible. Now, how do we sustain the lives and the careers of artists who very well and quite often are already in a creative process, are now applying for funding and looking for resources and trying to find the right rooms to fit in, to squeeze in, to be in, that can help them move forward. Being in creative process and then having to apply for funding or grants or microloans or any of these things that are asking artists to create a new or something new is very frustrating when the need is often truly now more than ever for funding to be allocated towards operational expenses, materials, to help organizations develop a succession plan, to help businesses to actually pay their employees and not constantly bring in contractors for a season because there isn't enough money to pay them ongoing, or having to ask volunteers to step in and do the work that really and truly is the work of full-time employees. And these are certainly not best practices, but they are practices that are taking place because, after all, the pillars, also known as the people, are creating a foundation and are surviving. They're not thriving. We're going to these people and these organizations because we know that they're able to, as I mentioned earlier, touch the minds and the hearts of people, invoking that sense of trust and pushing forward various campaigns, whether they're political or whatever the agenda may be. The arts have always been on the front lines of growth, change, and development, and yet they are not being served in the way and supported in the way that they should be. So as we reimagine the relationships that we have now to the arts and funding, whether we are able to donate very little or make immense contribution, let us think about humanizing these people that are behind the creative process, the arts themselves, and these foundations, these structures, these entities that we are going to, that we are partnering with, and that we are relying on, whether that's just an ad that we need up on a billboard, or a series that's being creative, or something that we are moving forward. We are moving forward together. So I want you to take this in. take this as a call to remembrance the next time you are in a position to make a difference, and certainly do so. And that's you, and that's me, are together moving it forward in such a way that is sustainable and long lasting. Let that be the spark for today that you take away in this remembrance and recalling and reimagining. Thank you.
It's lit. Now streaming on YouTube from award-winning artists, directors, and producers. The stories of what they didn't teach us in school. Short film and call to action. Just search CEOINC Arts.